So I mixed Beethoven, and the first thing we had to do was set up subgroups. So you can see I'm sending these out, puts are to the strings. And here's my final string. I have a dark blue for my strings as aux returns. The woodwinds are pink, and you can see WW. And here is my aux for that, my subgroup. And here is the brass. And here's the subgroup for the brass. And the timpani is the only perk for Beethoven. And there we have it for that. The other thing we had to do was set up a convolution verb on the insert of our string channel. I tried it and I didn't like it. It sounded too distant, especially when they're playing like the strings, when they were playing staccato. And there was other parts that the woodwinds would do. I lost a lot of harmonics in the woodwinds. It sounded okay with the brass, but I kind of came up with a different way. I wanted more control with the dry wet. So here's what I did with the setup. And this is another reason why I could tell that they didn't play with each other. So I automated every channel to make it sound like they were playing with each other a little better. And here is my string verb. It's a post fader, but it's all the way up. And I have this going to my reverb on a different aux channel. And then I also put a compressor on that. And that way, as it gets louder, the room sounds bigger. And it sounded a little more natural to me. And then after I set that up, I put a slap. So this is, the high strings are on the left. And I have a slap on the right to make it sound like they're more in a room. And I did the same with the viola, or the cellos and the bass. I have a slap on the left. The other thing I tried to do to make this sound a little more cohesive was have a multi-band compressor on each of the subgroups. And I did a little bit of EQing and tailored it to make the reverb and the sound and the direct sound more together. And you'll see that on each of these subgroups, I have a different set for the multi-band compressor. And it's very much tailored for that subgroup. I guess I don't have one on the perk, but I did put a Fairchild on there. And you can see they're all panned accordingly. Then after I had these kind of grouped out, there's an orchestra verb coming off of the subgroup. And then an orchestra verb coming off of the woodwind. You can see it on the brass subgroup. And then the perk subgroup. And here is my orchestra verb, which goes out to the main. And that's a D verb. And it's a large hall, it's about 7.5. I kind of played with the hall a little bit and with the big hits to see how it sounded the most natural. And I guess I put a little bit of pre-delay. Normally I don't like pre-delay, but it looks like I added some here. I don't remember why. And then on the master fader, I have another multi-band compressor to bring it all together. A little bit of EQ, just on the very, very high end. You can see 15K, so it's adding, I don't know, they were MP3, so I don't know if those frequencies are actually there, but I think I do it just to make myself feel better. And here is a limiter. If I hit play on the start, it should go like 2 maybe. So I'm only taking out like 2 dB on that. And overall, every track was mixed. The hardest thing to mix, I thought, was the timpani. I spent a lot of time playing. I have a couple different reverbs for that. I used the revolver convolution verb and an R verb on that. And that was the hardest to make that sound natural. But overall, that's kind of my mix, so enjoy.